When a 52-year-old billionaire acquired a 28-year-old model, he likely thought he was buying a depreciating fixed asset. But for her, this might have never been a fairy tale romance, but rather a meticulously calculated M&A earnout for absolute class ascension. Watch how she perfectly hedged against a highly leveraged acquisition target, carving out her own soaring net worth. Welcome back to Hidden Lantern Chronicles. The internet is flooded with a single tired label for Melania Trump, gold digger. But is that label a gross oversimplification of a much more complex high-stakes strategy? Today, we are conducting a logic stress test. The hypothesis? What if, from the very first meeting in 1998, this was a 30-year hostile takeover? We're going to reverse engineer her every move through the cold lens of a mergers and acquisitions in 9 tactics of a playbook. If math adds up, then what is the truth? Let's enter phase 1, lowering the target's defenses. The initial contact between Donald and Melania was made in 1998 at a New York Fashion Week party. And perhaps her acquisition tactics for phase 1, lowering the target's defenses, were deployed from the very first meeting. According to GQ, the 52-year-old tycoon asked for the young model's number the exact second his then-girlfriend stepped away to the restroom. A classic billionaire pickup move. But Melania surprisingly refused to give him her number. Instead, she demanded his. She was never the target, she was the acquirer. In a single move, she seized absolute control of the communication channel. First tactic, the cool girl who wants nothing but love. Melania played the ultimate cool girl, manufacturing a zero-pressure vibe to completely disarm her billionaire target. By the time they met, Trump already possessed massive capital and 4 established heirs. Naturally, his 2 biggest fears were A. Asset dilution, and B. The operational drain of more children. To bypass these defenses, Melania executed the oldest tactic in the playbook. Demand absolutely nothing upfront to secure the ultimate payout on the back end. In 1999, barely a year into their relationship, journalist Don Day brought up Trump's messy track record of divorces during an interview. He pressed Melania on the ultimate safeguard for the ultra-rich, the prenuptial agreement.
Donald Trump's name is synonymous with a lot of things, but not the least of which is the phrase prenuptial agreement. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I know what is it.
Given his history with acrimonious divorces, with bitter divorces, would you even consider signing one with him?
You know, everybody has different opinions. So let's see what's happened.
According to a famous quote written by Trump in The Art of the Deal, a man who doesn't sign a prenup is a loser. Melania, of course, had read this book. She knew Trump expected a brutal fight over money, so she offered none when signing the first prenuptial agreement. On the Howard Stern show, Donald boasted that she agreed to the contract beautifully. And on national television with Larry King in 2005, Melania publicly cemented her zero-pressure persona. When pressed about the prenup, she didn't flinch. She immediately neutralized his biggest financial fear. At the time, Trump already had 4 children and was a grandfather. His position on possibly expanding the portfolio with another child was explicitly clear. He had absolutely no desire to assume the operational burden of raising another child. Her strategy? She just went with the flow. On the surface, she applied absolutely zero pressure on him to have kids, presenting herself as the ultimate low-maintenance partner. Second biggest fear, neutralized. Donald thought he had successfully secured a low-maintenance asset who wanted absolutely nothing from his empire, operating purely on the illusion of love. However, her compliance wasn't submission. It was simply the cost of admission, which he pays bigger later. Tactic 2. Forging the anti-X persona. To lower the target's defenses, she had to understand his vulnerabilities. After 2 highly publicized, disastrous divorces, Donald Trump was a financially battered and ego-wounded man. Melania knew exactly what the target was terrified of. She studied the failures of her predecessors. His first wife, Ivana, was domineering during their 15 years relationship. His second wife, Marla, was highly emotional, frequently engaging in explosive public screaming matches. So she engineered a persona that was the exact opposite, the anti-Ivana, the anti-Marla. In interviews with GQ and Harper's Bazaar, she repeatedly broadcasted one specific message: "I'm not a nagging wife." Trump swallowed it completely, boasting on the Howard Stern show.
How did the proposal take place?
Well, we were together.
Give it to us.
We were together 5 years. We literally have never had an argument, or forget about the word fight. We never even had an argument. We just are very compatible. We get along.
Her emotionless distance profile was the perfect opposite to Ivana and Marla. Trump's first wife, Ivana, was heavily entangled in both his personal and corporate portfolios. She produced 3 heirs and held a high-level operational control, serving as a top executive within the Trump organization. This over-integration led to massive friction. Melania then created a distant, remote, and fiercely independent profile, the exact opposite of Ivana. She built an ironclad narrative that she was an autonomous asset. Well, if you don't love much, you don't care much. And if you don't care much, you're not going to be emotional. On Larry King Live in 2005, she stated,
So
But
I
still,
knew
that's a grand scene.
it is, but we know what kind of relationship we have, and I don't think I should be scared of anything.
Melania further told the GQ magazine,
"I have my own life, my own world. I don't follow Donald Trump's life."
By now, she built an ironclad narrative that she wasn't after his money. She was a busy, independent woman with her own career. Tactic 3. Ego stroke. After 2 disastrous corporate divorces, Donald Trump's ego was severely wounded. And the predator doesn't hunt the strong, they target the wounded. The ultimate maneuver: slave the wounds. Stroke his ego and submerge the target entirely in a honey trap. She knew the aging billionaire's vulnerabilities, and she stroked his ego by repacking his deepest insecurities as his greatest strengths. Recalling their very first meeting to Harper's Bazaar, she completely bypassed his wealth and targeted his masculine pride, stating,
"I was struck by his energy. He has an amazing sense of vitality."
She constantly reinforced this self-image to the masses, stepping up to the microphone to declare him a great negotiator and a great leader. To the public, she aggressively branded this merger as a pure fairy tale romance. Sitting next to him on Larry King Live in 2005, just months after their wedding, she told the illusion flawlessly.
"We have great chemistry. We love each other."
Have you been hurt by the comments that you're with him because he's rich?
The people, they don't know me. People who talk like this, they don't know me.
But when challenged on her true motives, asked if she would still be with him if he wasn't rich, she delivered a cold response.
Well, you don't see many 26-year-old supermodels on the arm of 53-year-old car mechanics.
You know what? You can't sleep or to hug or to talk with beautiful things, with beautiful apartment, beautiful plane, beautiful cars, beautiful houses. You can't do that. You could feel very empty.
For the cameras, she aggressively branded the entire transaction as pure love. Tactic 4. Zero pressure illusion. During those 7 years of dating, Trump's scandals never ceased. After divorcing Marla Maples in 1999, his dating roster was never short of young, beautiful women. And what did Melania do? Absolutely nothing. She stayed silent. She waited. And she endured. She ignored the ex-wives, the kids, and the cheating rumors. She never publicly criticized a single thing Trump said or did. She maintained a disciplined, zero-pressure environment, real or fake. Now, let me ask you, does all of this sound like a fairy tale romance or a step-by-step calculated ascension? Demanding money, a ring, or a baby up front immediately triggers a billionaire's defense systems. Melania did the exact opposite. By accepting fully zero legal rights, a strict prenup, and applying absolutely no pressure for children, she disguised herself as completely harmless and waited patiently. A normal woman desperately seeking love would find this arrangement unacceptable. But Melania stripped away all of the pressure, manufacturing the flawless, perfect illusion he required. But here's the golden rule. Whatever comes cheap up front, you will pay a fortune for on the back end. Once the target's defenses are completely neutralized by the cool girl illusion, Phase 2, infiltration and extraction begins. In the corporate world, a takeover doesn't have to happen overnight. It could happen through microtransactions, the slow bleed. Tactic 5, territorial marking. This could mean leaving small personal belongings at the property to establish a physical footprint. A spare phone charger permanently wired to his nightstand, a roll of luxury skincare slowly claiming real estate on the master bathroom counter, a silk robe left hanging next to his suits, or moving in together. In 2001, Melania officially moved into the Trump Tower penthouse. It was about locking down the de facto relationship and physically securing the territory, infiltrating legal assets. An amateur operator makes the fatal mistake of fighting a billionaire's past, demanding he spend less time with his ex-wife or his children. But Melania executed a flawless infiltration strategy by doing the exact opposite. Instead of fighting Trump's legacy assets, she infiltrated them. In the early 2000s, paparazzi constantly photographed Melania attending New York fashion shows and red carpets side by side with Trump's teenage daughter, Ivanka. They looked like peers. When asked about her relationship with his children, Melania delivered a calculated zero-friction line to Harper's Bazaar in January 2016.
I am not their mother. I am their friend.
This is the ultimate compliance test. By publicly surrendering any maternal authority, she presented zero operational friction to Donald. She squeezed out the wicked stepmother narrative and established a flawless new normal, embedding herself perfectly into this household without triggering a single alarm. Tactic 7. Manufacturing guilt. The understanding trap. By playing the friend to his children from previous marriages and never demanding a ring or a baby, she positioned herself as the ultimate sacrificial partner. The performance of extreme understanding is not necessarily empathy. For example, the relationship of Melania and Ivanka now is no longer friends. It is the calculated manufacturing of guilt, an invisible guilt debt to Donald. She allowed Donald to focus entirely on his business, his older kids, and his ego. And she knew exactly how a billionaire clears his conscience for neglecting his partner with material compensation. That manufactured guilt was quietly paid back with penthouse access, luxury, and ultimately absolute compliance to her future demands. By the time the target realizes how deeply enmeshed he is, the operator initiates the final phase, closing the net. This is where the deferred payment comes due. Tactic 8. The strategic retreat breakup. In January 2000, Donald Trump was distracted. He was officially exploring a presidential run with the Reform Party, leaving Melania in the shadows. So Melania executed one of the most brilliant high-risk maneuvers in her entire playbook. She walked away. In dating, it's a breakup. In negotiation, it is a strategic retreat to force an advance. She was betting her entire hand on his fear of loss. On January 13, 2000, a panicked Trump confirmed the split to the New York Times, stating,
Melania is an amazing woman, a terrific woman, and she will be missed.
The withdrawal of his zero-pressure sanctuary sent the billionaire into the tailspin. Within weeks, Trump completely abandoned his Reform Party presidential race. By February, he had chased her down and bought her back. But the year 2000 wasn't her first strategic withdrawal. In 1998, barely months into their relationship, Melania discovered Donald was hedging his bets, reportedly catching him with an ex-girlfriend, model Kara Young. Her response? An immediate cold asset freeze. She didn't scream or throw a tantrum. She simply broke it off and vanished. A few months later, a panicked Donald Trump outbid the market to reacquire her. According to biographers, she executed this walkaway maneuver multiple times to establish absolute dominance over his behavior. By walking away, she forced the target to drop his distractions, dramatically increasing her own premium and paving the way for the ultimate proposal. Tactic 9, the ultimate move. Biological lock-in, the miracle heir. January 22, 2005, Melania finally became Trump's third wife. To secure the final merger, Donald Trump laid down his absolute red line. On Larry King Live, he openly admitted his terms to the world.
If you have the money, having children is great. Now, I know Melania. I'm not going to be doing the diapers. I'm not going to be making the food. I may never even see the kids, frankly.
No, yo.
Okay?
Melania simply just smiled and agreed perfectly to his terms. She signed the ironclad prenuptial agreement. She secured the 15-carat $1.5 million ring, and almost the exact second the ink was dry on the marriage certificate in 2005, the script flipped. Ask any high-net-worth divorce attorney in New York, and they will tell you there's a standard playbook for bypassing an ironclad prenup. Phase 1, the operator appears entirely agreeable. They make the billionaire drop his guard, they happily sign the prenup without a fight, and they have no problem not having children. They secure the marriage. Phase 2, they wait. They wait for 1, a biological accident, and a moment of intense vulnerability in career. And the moment that the child is born, the original prenup becomes legally obsolete, and the real demands are finally brought to the table. On March 20th, 2006, Melania gave birth to Baron Trump.
See? That's Baron. He's strong, he's smart, he's tough, he's vicious, he's violent. All of the ingredients you need to be an entrepreneur, and most importantly, hopefully,
Donald Trump later boasted to Howard Stern that it happened on the first try. The pregnancy guaranteed an 18-year non-compete clause, absolute financial extraction, and a permanent equity in the billionaire's empire. In addition, on November 8, 2016, Trump is elected 45th President of the United States. Everyone assumed Melania would immediately into the White House and begin her tenure as First Lady, but she didn't. During the intense vulnerability of Donald Trump's presidential transition, she refused to move to the White House. Pulitzer Prize winner Mary Jordan revealed in The Art of Her Deal, quoted,
Melania stayed in Manhattan, using the time to renegotiate her prenup, under the guise of taking care of Baron.
She reportedly leveraged the immense pressure of the presidential optics to secure a more favorable equity position. This wait lasted for half a year. It wasn't until June 2017 that Melania officially moved into the White House. She didn't just change the deal, she rewrote the contract when he was powerless to stop her.
Can you picture yourself the First Lady?
Yes, I will be very traditional, like Jackie Kennedy. I will support him. I will do a lot of social obligations.
From the logic, or does the math finally add up? This is Hidden Lantern Chronicles. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next episode.